We're live. Welcome. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Random Entertainment Channel. Sci fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food, drinks, music, and sports. We talking not about political things because we are entertainment, and entertainment is not political, or political is not entertainment. Yeah, okay. Um, why we are called random? Now, because we will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music, and we have a warm heart for Doctor Who. Doctor Who will be regularly on this channel. We are random because we will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random because we have no guests or different guests like today. Uh, well-known guest here in the past. He was in the live streams. I will introduce him and after all the things, the how you call it, business things. Um, Sometimes I will invite someone in the chat to join me in the panel. There's also spontaneous invitations. And if you want to join me, you can contact me and you can find my info on the info page of YouTube, of my YouTube channel. By the way, you can also join me on Discord. The Dutch sci-fi and fantasy community. That's old name, previous name of this channel, but I thought another name for Discord. Tag Doctor Who. You can also find me. I regularly bump my Discord server, so you can when you tag Doctor Who, you can see my Discord server above all the servers about Doctor Who. I have a recommended playlist psychological profile of the Doctor. We talked about that about the personality of the Doctor. Sedeko was there most of the time in the live stream. We talked about the Doctor from the first Doctor until the 13th Doctor. And in the future, we will add the 14th Doctor, of course, and a 15th Doctor. That for later. It's a playlist that's in Dynamics. But now we are in a new series, and the current series is called The Companions of the Doctor. And we were by the sixth Doctor. And because we have had the previous the previous doctors, five doctors and the companions. Now we're by the sixth doctor, played by Colin Baker. So a live stream about the companions of the sixth doctor. This is a doctor who traveled with not so much companions, but we have some things to talk about. Most of the stories of Sixth Doctor is with Mel, and the other is Perry. And there are also other companions in the audio series. But I'm not so familiar with the audio series, so I will discuss most of the time Mel and especially Perry. So that's it for the moment. We will dive into the companions of the Sixth Doctor, and now I will introduce a very known guest here on this channel. He had much knowledge about all things of related to Doctor Who, and here he is. I will add him to the stream. Sedeko.
Hello.
Oh,
Thanks for
oh,
having me back.
yes.
I'm really glad you decided to do these again because I miss doing these. These were a lot of fun. and I feel like we've got to finish this series. I think.
Yes, that's the plan. We will finish this. We will continue this series till the end,
Yeah.
and then yeah, we'll look further what we will do, what topics. But we have also in the future the 14th and 15th Doctor to add to the previous series of the personality of the Doctor, and I think it was a nice series. It was
Yeah.
really nice to do that because we saw some comparisons, but also saw some differences between the characters.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah.
So where should we begin?
Yeah, we will begin with the first one. But because before we do that, we can do a little summary. We do a summary about the Sixth Doctor, who he is, and then we will dive into the campaigns. Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, probably best. Yeah.
Yeah, because we saw that the Fifth Doctor regenerated on Ravelox, I think it was.
No,
Yes.
it was Androzani.
Andruzani, yes, and we saw
Andros,
that Andruzani.
yeah, he basically caught Spectrox toxemia because he'd stepped into a Spectrox nest.
Yes, that's right.
More accurately, Perry stepped into the Spectrox nest, and she had like basically the Spectrox fur all over her feet, and like he's kind of just helping her with it, and he touches a bit of it, and it's only like later they realize that it's actually killing them slowly. Now he does get an antidote, but it basically he only has enough antidote for Perry.
Mm-hmm.
So he gives her his supply, and well, he basically he's forced to regenerate. And as he's fading away, he actually says it feels different. It feels different this time, and that's the hint that this doctor, the next doctor, is going to be a bit unstable, a bit not. It's going to be a big change. It's going to be a big change for who the doctor is now.
Yes, that's right. And the first time we see that this doctor is a little bit, the regeneration was a little bit unstable. So it was very difficult for Perry to relate to him because she had a good relationship with the fifth doctor, but this was a very different personality. So the first moments of this tenure of this doctor, it was difficult for Perry to see what's this, what this person is he still doctor? So that was the first thing that for to deal with Perry.
Well, yeah, because he's in a bit of a paranoid state. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right. Yeah. So he just keeps having these psychotic episodes where he keeps thinking that Perry is this ancient Persian fairy or an alien spy. Now it might be this is actually because his previous self had Turlo as a companion, and yeah, he trusted Turlo, and Turlo turned out to be out to kill him. And so this doctor is very paranoid, very rational, and it's basically the brain chemistry of him is completely scattered. And it's kind of shown that even the doctor can be vulnerable to having this. You know, he's vulnerable to brain chemistry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's
so
the big thing is eventually he does strangle her. I mean, like at first she's kind of humoring him because at first she doesn't think he's mad. She just thinks he's a bit egotistical, a bit kind of bit up himself, a bit kind of sees himself as above it, and she feels like she can't quite reach him. So she kind of tends to polarize a bit,
Mhm.
and because of that, then when he starts to get threatened and starts to get hostile, it's like that. Then she realizes this isn't something she can humor anymore,
Yeah.
and so that's when she backs away, and for some reason he gets more aggressive and violently so.
Yeah, and nearly strangled her.
Yeah, that was very, very not exactly doctorish behavior.
Yes, that's right. And we discussed that in the live stream of the Sixth Doctor with Queen Charlotte.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
it, it is her favorite Doctor. No,
probably not. No, that's why she's
no,
not here.
no.
I think.
It's a real it's one of the most eccentric Doctors of all, I think.
It was, yeah, I think he's kind of most. He was the
Especially
personality.
when also the clothes with he's wearing.
Yeah, I think there's an audio story that references where he apparently he was given the suit as a gift by some aristocrat from the past, and he's traveling with Charlie Pollard at that point, and she kind of quips, "He didn't want it back, did he?"
Yeah.
So like he basically gave him the coat to keep, but he's like his ego is that he thinks he looks like great in this suit, and it just he looks utterly tasteless.
Yeah.
Just yeah. So she's very yuck about it, like, and then she puts on a suit, and like he gets back and it goes, "That's very yuck, that one." So it's like you can kind of see this Doctor's really petty, like any slight against him, he'll be very childish and petty about it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's enough for the interaction of this Doctor. We are now have an idea of what this Doctor is, but we now go into Perry,
Yeah,
the
Perry.
character Perry. Perry was she was broadcast by the way for her American accent because I thought it was a good idea to have some American in the show.
Yeah, John Nathan Turner was doing a lot of kind of travels, like to the
Yeah,
conventions in Australia, in America. Now he loved the convention limelight in America, like he kind of felt like I think fans there really wanted kind of more Doctor Who, and like it was very difficult to get Doctor Who. Like they had to phone up PBS
yeah,
to do donations, and so it was like and like there was a big fan base there, and he thought, well, that's a good fan base to build on. Like if the show's going to appeal in America, like he brought in Tegan because like he thought, well, if I can boost the show in Australia, get more of an Australian audience, then maybe I can even interest Australian studios in co-producing the show with us. We can get some co-production funding, and I think like even certain heads of serials of the BBC were kind of saying that's a good idea. Try and get some co-production. If we can get some more money into the show, it'll look better. So
yeah,
that's why he had Tegan in the show, and so Perry was an attempt to do the same. The difference is Tegan was played by Janet Fielding, who actually was Australian, whereas Nicola Bryant was actually British. But she put on the accent, and he actually instructed her to maintain the accent at all times and pretend she was American. So, like, there's even an episode of Swap Shop where she's on the phone to, it was this call-in chat show, so people could phone up and ask questions to people. And like, even then, even though she's not playing Perry, she's still got the accent on.
yeah.
And because that's what John Nathan Turner wanted, which is a
Yes,
shame, really. Yeah.
He wanted to bring the whole show expansion, more outside of UK.
Yeah, I think so. I think he just, I guess he also thought it'd be a nice novelty to have a different kind of companion. But yeah, I think he was principally thinking the show's got a fan base in America. Let's give them an American companion. And obviously,
But I thought it was also the idea behind it was also that
the viewing figures were declining
Maybe.
for more.
Yeah,
There was yeah, and in what he will bring a character outside of the UK and then more like now Russell T Davies is doing is he brings it more on the worldly
yeah,
stage of the world. Yeah, expand
yeah,
it.
yeah. Because I think,
Yeah,
well, he'd always said that like that he wanted to get the tabloids interested in Doctor Who, and the only way he got them talking about it was it centered around which companion he was bringing in or getting rid of. So, like for
yeah,
instance, the episode Terminus in season 20. Now, Sarah Sutton had been with the show for quite a while, and he said, "Well, I'm letting you go. I think it's time for you to leave as a companion." And she wasn't quite sure why. She was kind of happy to stay, but he was kind of saying, "Well, look, departures, arrivals of companions, they get news stories in the
yeah,
tabloids at least." And he thought, "Well, that's," and they were like, there is a YouTuber called Adam Martin who's done like this chronicle of the viewing figures of the series, and you should see like how much the show was competing against what was on the other channels, and when you watch that, you kind of get a sense of what you know how JT was going for a hook. So like he'd introduced Turlo, the devious kind of companion who was about to maybe out to kill the Doctor, and Perry was, I suppose, just again it was something different, and obviously she was something for the dads as well.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's right. This is the reason why that the character Perry is brought in the show.
yeah,
We can discuss more the correct character of our background story about Perry. As a
yeah,
first job at leaving drama school, Bryant um, um, there's
yeah.
oh
They
wait yeah
she was studying botany, I believe,
yeah
and there's a period where she was visiting Lanzarote with her mother
oh
and her
yeah
stepfather Howard, and
yeah
she had this plan to go travel Europe, and like his Howard, her stepfather, was a bit of a control freak, was determined to stop
yeah
her, and she discovers this artifact. It turns out to be alien, turns out to be
yeah
significant to Turlo,
yeah
and that's how Turlo discovers her. Like he finds her, like she's trying to swim to shore, and she nearly drowned, and it's a bit like Grease, It's like
yeah
saved her life, she nearly drowned, and but he basically takes her back to the TARDIS, and that's how she gets involved in the action when they go to Sarn, which is Turlo. Turlo wants to go there to save his people, and
hmm
so basically Turlo leaves, and Perry's now the only companion that the Fifth Doctor has.
yes that's right
And on TV, they only have two adventures, which is Planet of Fire and Case of Androzani, and so yeah, I would say Perry. I mean, from the from her first episode, you kind of see her family dynamic with Howard, her stepdad, and you do get the
yep
sense she does come across as a bit of a spoiled brat, doesn't she?
hmm yeah
She always wants her own way, kind of thing. But
um
and in some ways that does play a little bit into the dynamic with the Doctor.
hmm
What was your
uh,
take?
what do you mean
Well,
well,
that I my impression of Perry was that she was a bit spoiled. I mean, from her first few episodes, what was your impression of who Perry is as a
now
character?
the moment a little bit hysteric.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
But when you can during the episodes, you can see that she is bright and a spirited young woman.
right,
Um,
yeah,
she is able to sometimes to solve the problem for the doctor to rescue him.
hmm
Uh, I think the foundation of her character lays in the Fifth Doctor when she was saved by the Fifth Doctor, and when he turned to the Sixth Doctor, at least the dynamics changed between the in the relation between the Perry and the Doctor. You can see
Yeah.
that she was more careful of him, despite the fact that the Sixth Doctor is a little bit rude to her. But you can see it's. I think the dynamic between Perry and the Sixth Doctor is more. There's more fun than with Fifth Doctor. But I think it is founded in the what happened to the Fifth Doctor when he turned to the Sixth Doctor.
Yeah.
Because Perry is now realizing that that she has to care for someone because the Fifth Doctor cared for her and sacrificed himself,
Yeah.
and then Perry turns to have that role more to the Doctor, caring, saving, despite of the fact that the Sixth Doctor is eccentric. So it's really fun to see that on screen.
There's an audio story I could recommend if you want a good background on Perry.
Yeah.
It's an audio story called The Reaping, and it stars Claudia Christian from Babylon 5 as Perry's mum. Because basically what happens is Perry's looking through some historical records in the future, and she discovers this news story in the papers about a vagrant character who's that there's been a murder of it was basically her best friend's father died, and like she kind of demands that they have to go back in time to her home time basically. So the Doctor takes her home to Baltimore, and he meets the family.
Is that an audio adventure with the Sixth Doctor?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when you actually get home, you actually see how Perry interacts with the mum, and her mum and Perry are very like the Sixth Doctor and Perry. Like there's a lot of sniping, a lot of kind of very heated moments, but you get the sense that beneath it all there is this caring between them, and it's almost kind of saying that's just the kind of dynamic that Perry's used to, and that's why she has that dynamic with the Doctor. It's just it's always this kind of it's got kind of dysfunctional relationship, but it's kind of functions in its dysfunctional way, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's quite a sad story that like a mum, she's hit by a family tragedy in that story at the end, and that's why she ends up traveling with the Doctor again, because originally she says I want to stay home, I want to go home, and he's quite sad, and then a tragedy happens, her mum dies, and he visits her at a gravestone. Now they've had this adventure with the Cybermen, and there's this really kind of bittersweet moment where she says, I wish maybe the Cybermen have the right idea because they don't have to go through pain of grieving, because she's just been hit by it, she's just absolutely distraught, it's broken her kind of thing, and the Doctor's saying, look, you can't think that way, that's humanity matters kind of thing, and he kind of you kind of see the caring side of their relationship there, and they travel together again kind of thing.
I also noticed that there was some of undercurrent of affection in their verbal sparring. So you can see some also some is more than do you call it a little bit of signaling, or it is affection.
Maybe, yeah, like it's almost kind of so you'd say like it was banter, but beneath it there was a kind of friendship there. It wasn't meanly meant kind of sniping.
Yeah. It was not so deep romantic, but more like liking each other, but not in a romantic way.
Well, yeah, I think it was like they kind of.
The Doctor doesn't want to have that on the surface, but it's more on the underground.
Yeah, kind of a subtext.
Yeah,
because I think. I mean, it depends how it's written, because sometimes like writers would write it in a way that it just came off as mean. Like there's some stories where it just comes off as meanness, where it just comes off as, do these people even like each other? Like in Twin Dilemma, it comes off as that way. In some bits, whereas there's moments in Vengeance of Horus you do see the warmth kind of thing, and in Revelation of the Daleks as well, you kind of you do get the sense that the kind of, she kind of just knows that he's this eccentric guy, and she's kind of a little bit kind of. I think it's like she kind of knows that he's different, and she doesn't want to be away from his company, if you know what I mean, because he's just so special and unique. But also, she feels like she has to kind of a little bit kind of look out for him and make sure he's not being too eccentric for people. And so I think in some ways she likes taking on that role, and I think that's true of Mel as well. Mel likes taking on that role as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can see in the adventures of the Sixth Doctor and with Perry, you see that there is a good combination. And that they have stabilized each other.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I think it's in some ways there is an element of, well, you never quite know what you're going to get with him. There's always that excitement of the fact that he's just so that he could just land in it. Like for instance, like there's a moment in Attack of the Cybermen where, like, Terry Molloy plays this undercover cop, and they encounter each other in the sewers, and then the Doctor's kind of Perry's got the cop at gunpoint, and the Doctor's kind of asking him questions, and the guy's saying nothing because the Doctor wants to know what's going on, and so he knows that Perry's not going to do this, but he says to Perry, "Shoot him, Perry," and like she's like horrified, but it's like I think there's the undertone of he knows she's not going to shoot, but he knows that it's going to, like, the threat might get him talking, but like he knows she's not going to do it because she knows that she's just, it's kind of
yeah. So I want that's what I was thinking about. That the Sixth Doctor was, I think, of all the Doctors, one of the most unstable one in the sense that it was here very extreme in one thing and one thing, and that Perry was a little bit unstable, and I think minus brings plus. So I think the two made each other stable. That's what the point when I want to make a little bit. So. Yeah, that's very. You can see the very interesting in that especially I see in the TV episodes. But I also had do some homework with audio, and not have heard all the audio, but I think that's also the case in the audios when they travel with each other, travel along. Yeah.
There's in Vengeance of Varos, like it's after the first cliffhanger where Perry's been captured and she's kind of watching, because this is a prison planet where everything's under surveillance, and the Doctor has been basically they've got the Doctor to hallucinate, and he hallucinates that he's in this desert, and he basically seems to be dead, and she's distraught. She's just she's lashing out. She's really upset. It's really wounded her that she thinks the Doctor's died. So you see there is that kind of that caring quality there to Perry.
Yeah.
And also that she's out of her depth here, but she's also a bit of a fighter as well, because she's like, she doesn't want, she can't stand for what's happened and what's happening here, kind of thing. So she's got a bit of that fighting spirit to her as well.
Yeah, that's right. You see that the Perry traveled with the Doctor for an undisclosed period of time. Some sources say that she traveled with him for mere months, and others say years. It depends on you take the audio also. And between the events of Revelation of the Daleks and a season-long story, The Trial of the Time Lord, the character was shown to have matured somewhat. So because there was a 18-month production break between two stories, and the relationship with the Doctor became less combative.
Yeah, I think there's some nice moments to highlight in Revelation of the Daleks, because that's where like they land in Tranquil Repose, this funerary place, and it's got this DJ who plays like because it's basically it's
Yeah.
partly a funerary place, but it's also a place where the rich, like if they've
Yeah.
got this terminal disease, they'll go there because it's this in the distant future when like science is really science, medical science is really advanced. So they've got this thing where they can be put into cryogenic freeze at the point where they're alive but they're terminal, and it's hoped that if they're kept alive, then maybe one day they could be thawed out when a cure is available for their condition. So like they can be, they can be awoken and they're still alive. Like they're curable. And the idea is that they've got this DJ character who plays old music for the and basically he's basically just speaking to their sleeping consciousness, and it's basically he's broadcast a whole bunch. And Perry's really taken with this guy because he's quite, he's kind of got a bit of an American style, and she thinks that's kind of it's kind of she finds him quite cool and endearing, and obviously because he plays a lot of American stuff, a lot of American music. She seems to be a big fan of a lot of the music he plays. Like he plays a lot of Elvis, a lot of Jimi Hendrix, psychedelic stuff. Wider shade of pale, like
Elvis hair. His Elvis
oh yeah,
hair.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tries various different things on, and like so she wants to meet him, and she has to deal with that creepy Joe Bell who's leading her the way, and he keeps trying to kind of try it on with her, and she's kind of like, and you kind of get the sense she knows how to deal with people like Joe Bell, because like he's always trying to those ruby red lips are made for kissing. He says yes, but not by you, and I love a woman plays hard to get. You'll love me to death, and she just leaves away from it. But then she meets the DJ, and like immediately she's relieved to be away from Joe Bell, and they immediately hit it off. It's like, oh wow, it's nice to have visitors, and she's quite endeared with him, and he's endeared with her, and then so there's a sweet dynamic there, and then unfortunately the Daleks pay to that.
Yeah.
So
by the way, the revelation of the Daleks was the only time the Sixth Doctor encountered the Daleks.
Yeah.
That's right.
The only
Very
time
nice story, by the way.
I'd say it's his best TV story.
Best TV story of with Perry together.
Yeah. Now there are a few audios where he captured the Daleks, but on TV it's only Revelation of the Daleks. Which I feel like, Revelation is a great story, but I feel like Doctor and the Daleks, they should have encountered each other sooner in that story. I feel. Yeah.
I think when you start, I think when you started with this story in the beginning of the Sixth Doctor, then you have misschien more eye-catching for fans or people who watch.
Oh, how do you mean?
I think this story had to be in the beginning of the Doctor, because the first stories of the Sixth Doctor are not so how do you call it? Catchy or
I know what you mean. You mean like they should have done this earlier, so there would have been
begin with a big story instead of a weird Rani or something or
no, you know.
You know what I mean? Yes, it's also nice stories, but I think and when you have it on a different order in these stories, I think it would be better.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And more character.
There's an interesting moment in Mark of the Rani where because that's the one where like the Doctor has encountered the Rani and the Master, and like the Doctor's kind of trying to get them off the planet. He's holding them at gunpoint with the Master's tissue compression eliminator. And every so often, the Rani or the Master says, "You're bluffing, Doctor. We know you won't shoot." And so Perry takes the thing and says, "Well, he might not, but I will." And so she's very quick to know what will threaten them, and so she takes charge of the situation. She kind of leads them to the TARDIS, but the Rani tricks her. She basically has this coughing fit and says that she's vulnerable to the atmosphere. She needs to take her medicine, which is partly true, but like the Rani's kind of putting it on, planning something. So basically, and in the end, Perry's kind of just so uncomfortable with the situation. She says, "Okay, just take your medicine. Just I don't want to just let you cough yourself to death here. Just take the medicine. And but don't try anything." And that's when of course the Rani tries something. So she's fooled, and that's kind of. I mean, I feel like in a way an audience can relate to that. They'll watch it and they'll be thinking, yeah, if I was Perry, I'd do that. I'd be fooled. The Ronnie's trick would work on me, kind of thing.
Yeah, that was the story with the Sixth Doctor and Perry. That they arrive in the 19th century mining town of Killingworth.
Yeah, and
They encounter a group of rampaging miners and attacking people and destroying machinery.
Yeah, they were called
And
the
then you
Luddites.
have the Master and the Rani, both as Time Lords who are attacking the Doctor.
Yeah, there's basically there was the thing called Luddites at the time who were kind of they felt that new machinery, new industry was threatening their jobs and livelihoods, so they felt that all they could do to preserve their livelihoods was to attack the machines and destroy them. Now, the Doctor suspects that these Luddites, particular Luddites, are more aggressive than usual, and he's getting the hint. Okay, these people maybe they've been experimented on because they're very aggressive. They've not had much sleep, and so he thinks, something has turned them psychotic, and it turns out it's the Rani. The Rani's been experimenting on them because the Rani's a renegade Time Lord, but she's really into genetic experimentations, and she's very kind of cavalier about it. She doesn't care about the consequences. She just likes research, and she just sees humans as something she can experiment on, and she all she cares about is scientific pursuits. Yeah, and of course the Master comes along, and he's kind of the Master actually has a bit of a vendetta against Perry because he blames her for the fact he was nearly burned to death in the previous story, Planet of Fire, because Perry was there and he says, "You should have saved me," and so that's why he's now got a vendetta against Perry.
Was that Vincent on Varus, the previous story?
No, Planet of Fire.
Oh,
because
that after Vincent on Varus, it was Mark of the Rani, I thought.
No. I'm sorry. When I say the previous adventure, I mean the previous adventure the Master had.
Okay.
So the last time we saw the Master before Mark of Rani was Planet of Fire. So that's where.
Yeah, that's right.
The Master kind of seemed like he meets his end in this fire, and the Doctor kind of decides, well, I'm not going to save him this time. It's like and the Master has a vendetta. Now, in the novelization, apparently it's explained how he survives. Apparently there's this particular bubble within the fire that he managed to survive in.
Yeah.
But it's only in the novelization. It wasn't in the TV story. It got cut for complicated reasons. But yeah. I think
also.
The Master kind of gets a bit of an ego after that and says, "You know what? I think I'm indestructible. I think if that didn't kill me, nothing can." So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
After this story, we had the multi-Doctor story, Two Doctors, with also Jamie McCrimmon again. There's also a nice story with Perry and Jamie McCrimmon both.
Yeah. It's nice for them to compare notes about. I think your Doctor's worse than mine, and it's. So yeah, we do see Jamie with the Sixth Doctor as well. We kind of see.
Yeah.
And
it was a story with the two clowns, Second Doctor and the Sixth Doctor, the clown doctors.
Indeed, yeah.
That's what I think. The combination to the Second and Sixth Doctor was very good chosen.
I think so. I think we should have seen more of.
Yeah, it was working together. You can see they had a lot of fun with each other.
Yeah, I think the story needed more of that. Really, I think it would have been great.
Yeah, that was a really nice story. After the Mark of the Rani, it was a really good story after Mark of the Rani.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are a lot of good stories in this.
And it's significant. The Doctor kind of the the Sixth Doctor, he's really pleased to see Jamie again. Like he's
Yeah.
and he kind of immediately goes back into that role of the Doctor companion. Um, he's he has to look out for Jamie because Jamie's a bit naive, and he sees that Jamie's been traumatized, and he's kind of trying to calm him down with acupuncture, and he's just having this kind of it's very kind of quite a tender moment, and so we see that kind of there as well. So I suppose you could class Jamie as a bit of a Sixth Doctor companion as well as a Second Doctor companion.
Yeah. It was this series was also the final appearance of second Doctor when this was in 1985. The two doctors, and he died in 1987. So it was before his death, 2 years before his death.
Yeah, it makes this a very special episode in hindsight.
Yeah,
It was his last.
it is one of my favorites. This story
Okay.
for the Sixth Doctor adventures. Because,
Yeah.
because of the multi-doctor story, I think multi-doctor stories. I think that's one of the best multi-doctor stories.
I do think whenever Patrick Troughton came back in the show,
Yeah,
like it's just as true in when he came back in the Three Doctors and then he came back in the Two Doctors. You always got the sense he could run the show again, and like he could just you get the feeling
that's right.
he could be the star again. He's still got it. He's still got that magic of the Doctor. And you did. It's ironic. You felt like he could have kept going, like for several more years in the role. That it more just a one-off, and obviously, it wasn't to be in terms of on TV. It wasn't to be, but also he wasn't long for this world by that point. But he died while he was at a convention, I believe, and he kind of said he loved doing conventions, and I think it's like. So I feel like he kind of he was. Maybe he was at his happiest when he went, I suppose.
Yeah. And so after this story, we had the story Timelash about Borat. Yeah. When the Perry is taken in prison.
Yeah, there is
captive.
There's a recurring theme this season of villains who lust after Perry just kind of want her as their mate.
Yeah.
And like kind of. That's a really unfortunate role for her to be in, kind of, because she's got this, like this creature, the Borat. This kind of, he's been experimenting on himself, and he basically he was this scientist, and he did an experiment, an unethical experiment. It basically ended up transformed by the experiment to the point where he's kind of half animal, he's half Morlock, and he's really is in love with Perry for some reason, but he also he feels he needs to make her like he is. So he wants to put her through the same transformation, so that basically he'll have the perfect mate almost. It's weird, but he's warped that way. I mean, there is a kind of contrast because you've seen this quite a few times where you got kind of characters who really kind of want to spend the rest of their life with Perry, and they lock her up. I mean, Sharazek was like that, but he was kind of with Sharazek, you kind of got that sad sense that he knew he was deluding himself, and that because he was really isolated. He was surrounded by androids, and that portrayal was quite sympathetic because you got the sense he really was just this damaged figure who was really lonely and really kind of wanted human affection again, and in the end, of course, and it's in his way, because of that, he did help the Doctor in trying to protect Perry.
Yeah.
But the Borat is a very, very different character indeed. I mean, he's not sympathetic at all. He's just horrible. He's just a tyrant. He's used to getting his way, and that plays into the fact that he thinks he can have his way with Perry, and he doesn't have any compassion for her. He just wants her completely under his thumb. And it's quite. Some bits of it are quite uncomfortable to watch, like when Perry's chained up and there's that Morlock creature kind of snarling around. It's kind of a bit degrading, really. It's not pleasant to watch. Like, I can,
Yeah. We already discussed the next story of the Revelation of the Daleks, but we have done season 23, the trial of a Time Lord.
Oh wait, there's one other moment in Revelations that's worth pointing out where
Yeah.
it's a scene early on where they're attacked by a mutant,
Yeah.
and Perry's the one who has to whack the mutant, like because this mutant,
Okay.
yeah, because but basically as they're on the way to the Doctor and Perry are on the way to tranquil repose, and basically they're attacked by this mutant kind of comes at them snarling, and it's an escaped experiment from it's one of Davros's experiments gone wrong. So I mean, I guess he was trying to breed a new human Dalek, and this was kind of the result. Because there is a moment where the Doctor's kind of trying to calm the guy down by waving his watch at him, and you get the sense this should have pacified the guy, but it doesn't work. Like he's just that condition for savagery. You think, okay, this is what Davros has done to this guy, and so basically, the guy's trying to strangle the Doctor, and Perry has to run, and she gets a stick and whacks him. And after he's been whacked, that's when he recovers and he starts talking about his old life, and it's like the rage is gone, and he's just kind of saying, I once looked like you both. You know, I didn't always used to be this mutant. I was experimented on, and he kind of forgives Perry for the fact for the fact she's kind of struck him the blow, but it turns out the blow is so bad it's killing him, kind of thing. And he says, "Look, you've done me a favor. I'd rather be dead." But Perry's like really kind of, she's really struck by it. So I killed him, and he forgave me, and that's a moment for Perry. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, it's a really important moment. It, you can see then really her character now revealed what she's capable of, and
well, it's also kind of showing her that this universe is it's testing her to do things she doesn't want to do, and like it's kind of, so she's kind of reacted by instinct, but she's kind of reflecting there are consequences, and that these journeys are going to kind of try and sometimes she's going to have to do stuff she's not comfortable with. Like she's going to get in violent situations. Sometimes, you know, it's basically it's not pretty, this life. And you know, she's kind of not used to. In a way, it's kind of saying, is she really able to be the companion? Because sometimes this is what she's going to be required to do, if you know, in violent scenarios.
Yeah. And on the other hand, she also wants to travel in the universe with the Doctor.
But she's also learning it's dangerous, and that it's a contrast to her life. Like there's a shocking contrast to her home life.
Yeah.
Like, so it's almost like it's a moment of I don't know if I want to continue doing this anymore. If this is what it's going to mean, if this is what I have to do.
That's right. Yeah, she's a little bit forced to do that.
Yeah.
But so the trial of the Time Lord, that was a whole season, 23, I think. Season 23 was called the Trial of the Time Lord, and the Trial of the Time. That's a little bit sort of a structure of a season, because it was one story, but more. How do you call it? It was on the over arc.
Yeah, it was a season arc.
Yeah, season arc with more stories, but it was one story at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, basically it was the Doctor was put on trial, and there was this character called the Valiard who's like the prosecutor who's determined to prove the Doctor is guilty of reckless behavior and of being a liability to causality, liability to the companion in his care, even, which is kind of. This is one Doctor he could probably make that case against, because he has endangered Perry. Like in the very first story, he nearly strangled her, and so he's kind of saying you're reckless and dangerous. And so the idea is the whole season is about the trial, but it's split up into 3 parts, because basically they use the Matrix to project like the stories that the Doctor has been in before. So like there's one story. Called The Mysterious Planet, where he visits the planet Ravalox, and it's about. So basically it's like stories within a story. So like there's the Mysterious Planet about Ravalox. There's Mind Warp, which is another story about Syl from Thoros Beta from Vengeance of Varos. Terror of the Vervoids, that's the first time we see Mel as a companion, and then the final part is the resolution of the trial.
Yeah.
And so for the first two stories, Perry is still with the Doctor. So the first story we see is
Mysterious Planet is called. The Mysterious Planet was the first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then Sperry is then captured by a local human tribe led by Katrika, I think, was it? Brought it to their camp.
Well, yeah, because the thing is, the Doctor wants to. The Doctor kind of is landed on Reblox because he's kind of curious about. He thinks it's kind of quite marvelous. There's this planet, in a completely different galaxy to Earth, but it's so Earth-like, and it's so like, not just in kind of the landscape and the atmosphere, but it's also the period of rotation, like the entire constellation. It feels so Earth-like. It's unbelievable. But then Perry they find this underground train station, and Perry recognizes Piccadilly Circus written on there, and she says, "Hang on, this is Earth." And the Doctor, he's kind of his scientific he's always had this scientific view of, well, look, science says it's impossible. It's wrong part of space for it to be Earth, and the planet is called Revelox. But Perry's like, no, I know it. My instinct is telling me. So her instinct is telling her, this is home, this is Earth. And there is that moment between them where the Doctor's saying, well, look, maybe in the future something happened to Earth where it was scorched and it ended up in a different part of space. But Perry's really heartbroken, and the Doctor's kind of saying to her, well, look, this is Earth in the far distant future. You can't, should you really be cut up about it? Earth will be gone one day. Nothing lasts forever. But she's obviously still heartbroken. And he's saying, well, look, I can take you back to Earth, of your time, and your planet is safe. But she's kind of, well, no, it's, and she's really heartbroken by it. And that's the kind of the moment they have. And it's showing the contrast between the Doctor's perspective and Perry's.
Yeah. Yeah, very, really interesting. Yeah.
I did a stream with
Hmm?
I did do a stream on Blue Bonnet's channel about 2 years ago where we discussed this story, and Blue Bonnet was very she was kind of not impressed with Perry at all. She was saying, what is wrong with you, Perry? Can't you realize that the Doctor's right? Of course, time's moved on, and and there's that line where Perry says, you could at least have given me the umbrella, and Blue Bonnet's like, screw you and your umbrella, kind of thing. That was funny.
Yes. The second story in this was Mind Warp.
Oh yeah, that was quite
with Crozier, with the Irkanos man.
Oh yeah, King Irkanos. Yeah, okay. So it was. I think there's an unseen adventure where the Doctor had kind of been with this warlord, and I think Perry hints that he was a bit of he kind of a pervy interest in her as well, because she's a dirty old warlord, and the Doctor's saying, we were with this warlord, he died, and he said, Thoros Beta, send more beams that kill. And the Doctor gets a hint. Okay, Syl and the Mentors, they're involved in some arms deal. They're exploiting a local conflict so that they can make some more weapon sales. So he decides he's going to go to Thoros Beta and put a stop to it. And Perry he said, well, do we have to? And he says, someone has to. We should do it. And the Valiard's kind of saying, well, there it is. From your own words, you assumed you had the arrogance to interfere. And so yeah, and then they get caught because the Doctor, he's very reckless, and that's when and Perry is kind of quite shocked that the Doctor didn't even tell her that this was Syl's home planet. He says, look, I'd never want to come in within light years of that creep again. And so they get caught, and then the Doctor is put onto this medical, Syl decides to interrogate the Doctor, and he subjects him to this mind analysis device, and basically that's the first cliffhanger, is the Doctor being subject to the shock of this mind analysis. And that's when the other patient, the captive, King Karnos, played by Brian Blessed, awakens, and he goes on a rampage. And he's this really hot-headed warrior, really wild, untamable beast kind of thing. And he's the one who leads their escape, but the Doctor kind of comes with them. But he's kind of got the mind of an infant at this point. It seems like his memory's gone. He's not really responding to Perry. She doesn't seem to recognize her. And as it goes on, you're not quite sure whether this is really who the Doctor is, or whether someone, naming no Valeyards, has tampered with the evidence, possibly to misrepresent what happened, and misrepresent the Doctor. Because what we see then is the Doctor kind of start to betray Perry and Yukarnos. And you're never quite sure, is it because he's been tortured? Has he really gone evil? Is it a relapse to the twin dilemma when he kind of gone psychotic? Or is the Matrix lying about what happened? And the Doctor in the courtroom's he's still got amnesia from being taken out of time. So he doesn't know what's real or not. But he's really look, that's not me. I'm pretty sure I would never do that. But we're seeing Perry herself really disillusioned at how evil the Doctor has turned. And he's saying she does actually say to him at one point, I used to think that you cared about truth and justice. And she said, I can barely stand to look at what you are now that he's thrown his lot in with Crozier and Sill kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's
it's also an episode when we think that Perry is dead because he is killed by the operation. The Doctor thinks he's killed. It's all, by the way, it's also the last story when we see Perry very active with traveling with the Doctor.
Yeah. Now, Nicola Bryant herself said that's the kind of ending she wanted. Because she had said she'd watched Tegan's departure. And she said, I feel that's a bit tame. I want a dramatic ending. I want a big dramatic ending. She said that to John Nathan Turner. And John Nathan Turner went wild with the idea and said to Philip Martin, the writer, said, Perry's got to die. Just kill her off. Give her a dramatic death ending.
Yeah.
And but then later, John Nathan Turner reneged on that and thought, well, maybe that's a bit too much. Maybe that's a bit too risky. Maybe we should go back on that. So she had that big dramatic ending where she's possessed by Kiv, one of the mentors, because Kiv wants to prolong his lifespan, and so he's using her as a human host, and so it looks also, in terms of purposes, like she's dead. And Karnos has been programmed by the Time Lords to be an assassin, to kill her, kill everyone in the room, just make sure this experiment goes no further, because this experiment is it's in violation of the development of, it's like historically science was not, the science of that plant was not supposed to reach that point yet. So the Time Lords have to obliterate it from, so they can't affect future events. And the Doctor obviously is devastated. Yeah. But then it turns out, I think the Master reveals actually, no, that was misrepresented. Actually, Perry wasn't killed. And she actually married Ikanos, King Ikanos.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Now Nicola Bryant herself said, I didn't like that. And because there is when he actually reveals that, they use this clip from, where Perry and Ikanos were had their last moment together. And he's actually saying to her, die well, my queen. And she she seems prepared to face what's ahead. In a way, in a way, it's almost like she's bonded with Ikanos, so she's almost come to embrace his way and his view of things. But basically they reuse that clip and they put this pink heart around it. And Nicola Bryant, I know she's always said, I was fine with maybe not being killed off, but I did not appreciate the heart around there. Like she saw that clip and she was like, this is terrible. This is not what I thought my ending was at all. I'd left the series thinking I'd had this big dramatic ending, and it's completely uncut by this kind of thing.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say?
It was not a proper ending.
Now, see, if it was
No.
me, I think how I'd have liked to do it, I think it would have been great if Perry had been brought back as witness at the end of the trial.
Mhm.
Like, because the Master sends the Doctor witnesses. He sends in Mel and Glitz. Now, I thought it would have been better if the Master had sent Perry as a witness. Because then, like, instantly she's in the courtroom. The Doctor's like, "You're alive." And she's kind of, she embraces the Doctor. And it's like immediately we're here with, oh, so the events in Mind Warp didn't happen that way. And the Doctor and Perry are still friends. There's not, it has been fabricated, and Perry is still alive. It kind of would have hit home a lot harder, I think. And it would have been reassuring to see Perry alive. Whereas we don't get that. And I feel like if they were going to reveal she was alive, that's how they should have done it.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think I have to do it another way.
Yeah. Because I mean, a lot of fans feel like she should have stayed dead. Like that death scene was so impactful, they should have kept it. But I don't know. I'm not keen on the idea. But a lot of fans
Or
say
more like an open ending.
maybe. Yeah.
That you can sometimes it's good to have an open ending. Like yeah, you don't know where she is, and maybe she will be appearing in the future. You don't know.
There is apparently in the novelization reveals that not only did she marry Brian King of Karnos, but she brought him to Earth and became his agent as he became a wrestling champion on Earth. That's in the novelization. It's not in the TV story, but
Okay. But that's the whole story for the television episodes. We can there's one moment when we see her back in that is in Dimensions in Time in the 30th anniversary charity special when we see her again.
yeah, yeah.
So you can there you can see that she is still traveling with the Doctor.
I don't really consider Dimensions in Time canon.
Okay. Uh, oh,
It never
yeah,
happened. It never happened.
that's possible. That's possible. But
Well,
here, this is really the end of her story in this story of
well,
mind.
there is a on the when the season 22 Blu-ray came out, there was a particular clip like in the trailer, like because usually with these box set reviews, they bring an old companion back and they kind of reveal how her story has gone since.
Oh, okay.
So you actually saw in this, you actually see Perry on Yukonos' home planet, and she is the queen now, and she's kind of now she's actually part of the royalty of Yukonos' family now, and like
Yeah.
because as it was opening, you saw this temple. I thought, what's this going to be about? And I thought it was going to be about the Knights of Oberon, because I thought, well, it's a season 22 set. One of the stories is Revelation of the Daleks, and there's a lot of talk about the Knights of Oberon. So I thought, is this going to be about the Knights of Oberon? And then then Perry revealed, and oh no, it's King of Karnos, even though like that was more of a season 23 thing. But that's kind of it's where we see a bit of Perry's future, a future life on with Yukonos. And there's that scene where the Doctor's visited again, and he's calling to her, and she goes, "Okay, keep your spats on." And it's like she's kind of been quite regal and all that, and then that moment she kind of goes back to being the old Perry.
Yeah. So, and the story continues, but Barry is gone now. But in Trial of Time Lord, in the third story in Trial of Time Lord, is Terror of the Vervoids, and we introduced to the next companion, and that is Mel Bush.
Melanie Bush, yeah.
And
Now,
that is played by actress Bonnie Lanford.
yeah. Now, interestingly, there were some publicity shots of Mel, like Bonnie Langford, being photographed behind the street sign that said Peas Pottage, which is basically where she's supposed to be from. So it's almost like the publicity shows of her it almost felt like it was trying to promote a story where she first meets the Doctor at home, and we assume this is kind of how the Doctor meets her in Peace Pottage, but it was never filmed. We never actually see her introductory story. So, like, there's just we're introduced cold to it, as she is just the companion now. We don't know how. We don't really see how they
Yeah.
met. But
Yeah,
this
she
is kind of
probably was still she probably was already traveling with the doctor for some time, I think.
yeah. It's presented by the Doctor as this is my future, far distant future. This is
Yeah.
where I've got a new companion.
Yeah.
And it is kind of saying this is the Doctor looking to a time when he's not like at this point the Doctor is bereaved by Perry by what he thinks is Perry's death, and so you kind of see the contrast there between the Doctor now and the Doctor in this is like he's moved on from that, but at this point he's
Yeah,
still
that's the point if we will see it from the Matrix point. The events of the favorites are shown as part of a Matrix projection of his future events being shown by the Sixth Doctor to the Court.
yeah
So from his point of view, he's seeing an adventure he will have with Mel even before he meets her in her own timeline. That's probably the case in this.
yeah
Yeah, this it's a sort of future flashback.
yeah. Now the idea of Mel was that she was supposed to be someone who's very good with computers, megabyte modems, that kind of thing. Like she was supposed to be
Yeah.
very kind of high tech career woman of the 80s, probably an office worker of some time. Now, I think it might be in the Companions book by John Nathan Turner. He kind of devised this idea of if she was going to have an introductory story, it would have been involved the Master having some plan to take over a company and she having the plan to, she being really good at computers, be able to break his code so that his plan fails. That thing was the idea of it. That was like if she was to have an introductory story, that was probably what was in mind. But obviously, we didn't get that. But the idea was that her computer skills were supposed to play into the show. And thinking about it, it doesn't really happen. But like that was the idea.
Yeah. That was the idea, but not so worked out in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always going to be there's plans that never get realized, aren't there? So,
yeah. So it's a little bit of timeline question. This was actually we have not seen her first adventure with the Doctor chronicled on screen.
Not on screen.
In fact. What not on well I think well on audio but not on screen.
No.
So this is it is yeah a little bit of a mystery campaign. I call her a sort of mystery campaign. She's out of nowhere and yeah, after all seeing the whole picture of the whole arc of travel time, you can see that it's actually a future event, and that she's a future companion. So it's a little bit for as you see for the first time you don't know how to place things, but after you study this, you have seen this, you can actually a little bit understand it. But it's a mystery when her first adventure was and how she met the Doctor. And but I think is that on audio when she first met the Doctor, or you know that, or
I've just looked it up now. It was actually in the books. There was a one of the missing adventures books.
yeah, Missing Adventures, how it's called.
Yeah, it's a book called Business Unusual by Gary Russell. Apparently, like they meet in 1989. Let's see. Can't get a synopsis.
She's from the 80s, from Earth.
Oh, definitely, yeah. She's definitely an 80s woman.
Yeah.
So we only really have two stories to go by with her on TV, though.
The Ultimate Foe.
Yeah.
The Ultimate Foe.
And Terror the Vervoid.
Yeah. The Ultimate Foe was also with a cameo of Perry and the doctor realizes that the doctor that Perry is still alive. I think was it or no?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah,
Mind Warp, that's where Perry dies. Terror of the Vervoids, that was the first adventure we see of them together. The Ultimate Foe, that's
yeah,
where there's the companion. The trial wraps up, and the Master decides to send the Doctor witnesses to speak in his defense, and one of them is Mel, because the Doctor's on trial for his life. So I suppose we could talk about Terror of the Voids first, and then talk about a return.
yeah.
So that's
Terror of the Voids.
the main thing. Yeah, the main thing is that she's a bit of a fitness freak. That's kind of the very first thing we see of her is her nagging the Doctor to kind of do a round on the exercise bike and drink carrot juice a lot, and you can see the dynamic between them is a bit kind of he's almost like the rebellious grandfather, and she's kind of just this. She's kind of looking out for him, but she's kind of trying to get him to look after his health a bit more. And I think there is a sense she likes kind of, maybe she wants to control him a bit and maybe kind of mother him a bit, if you know what I mean. Like you get the sense that's that character of that. But also she kind of almost feels like I think it's that thing, she's clearly very middle class. She's probably been brought up in a very middle class way, and she kind of, she has to be kind of, she's brought up to be very ladylike and polite and all that. And I think there's always going to be that gravitation towards the fact that the Doctor just, he's alien, so he just has no filter when it comes to etiquette, and she has to kind of, to a degree, she has to kind of help him navigate what the etiquette is, but at the same time, she kind of admires that he goes against it a bit. So I think that's kind of, maybe that's why there's a bond between them, and maybe that's why she gravitates to him a lot.
Yeah.
You can see she's very fond of him, and it's very different to Perry. Perry was she was fond, but it was a bit guarded. Whereas Mel kind of, she's on kind of, she's almost smotheringly fond of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very different with Perry. The difference between Perry and Mel. And Mel was more, laid back, or you call that?
Well, she's a bit full on, actually.
Yeah.
But she's kind of, but it is, it's all sweetness, isn't it?
But she can really scream.
in the key of F, yes. Like I think John Nathan wanted her specifically because she was good at screaming in the same key as the title sequence sting. So like, she'll scream and then it fades into the title sequence sting.
Yes.
Exactly, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. She screams a lot.
In the Ultimate Foe was the fourth and final serial of the larger narrative, the Triumph of Time Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can see the conclusion of this trial from the Valeyard. Valeyard is we don't know actually who Valeyard is. That's also another topic, another theory about that. But everything is about the Matrix in this story.
Yeah.
And actually, the Valeyard is defeated. And also the Master is in this story.
Mm-hmm.
The High Council is have the opinion that the Doctor is not guilty.
Well, yeah. In the end, the Doctor is exonerated in the end because the Master reveals that Perry didn't die, and that the only and that actually there was a conspiracy by the Time Lords to frame him because he discovered what happened to Earth, you see, and they didn't want that to come out, so they thought, well, the best way to silence him was to put him to death. But it turned out like there was a conspiracy to why Earth had become Ravlox and how the Time Lords had got involved, and they'd caused the devastation to Earth, and so that's why they'd framed the Doctor. And so now this was exposed. It was like, well, we got to drop the charges, and the Valeyard, the prosecutor, is gone, of course.
Yeah. But what we see in the end, as the
Yeah.
Inquisitor leaves the trial room, he gives instructions to the Keeper of the Matrix, and then as he looks up the camera, it's revealed it's the Devalyard. So he's not really at all, not wholly defeated.
No, there was a promise of a rematch there, which would have been nice to see, but you know, would
But
have been
the
great
whole
if we.
Matrix thing is yeah. We see that in yeah, recently Matrix is a topic of many discussions, because you can do with Matrix what you want. You can yeah, actually you can do everything with the Matrix. So you can also you can corrupt the Matrix like the Villiard and the Master did. And
Mhm.
also what you see recently in the 13th Doctor story, that also the Matrix is corrupted a little bit. So you can do everything with it.
I've not seen that 13th Doctor episode.
The 13th Doctor, when yeah, yeah, okay, that's okay. But you see that the Matrix is a thing that you can use for Doctor Who a lot of times
Yeah,
to solve or unsolve things.
yeah,
And you can actually can influence canon with the Matrix in a legal way. But also you can use that for in a way that you decanonize a franchise. But yeah, what I want to say is this: you can use the Matrix to build up or to break down
yeah.
Doctor Who. That's the whole point. And
Well, yeah,
what
because
you do with it, you build your franchise in a good way with the Vector and the Matrix.
yeah, I mean, this was of course an attempt to do a full season about the Matrix,
Yeah.
like, and it's because it was kind of
And
an
we
enormous
set
place
a
to go.
whole franchise with the Matrix, by the way. You can yeah,
Indeed, yeah.
reboot. Uh,
Hopefully,
you can fix. Kijk, that's the point with this show. There's always hope in the sense that you can rebuild canon.
yeah,
Um, because Doctor Who is a show that there are many possibilities to revive and to solve the things that are not non-canonical.
hmm,
So
yeah,
that you can repair the show in that sense. But yeah, repairing a trust with fans is more difficult. But it's not. What I want to say is this: it's not impossible to repair a franchise. It's always possible to repair, but
yeah,
more difficult to repair is the trust that the people have fun again
yeah.
with the franchise. I have good hope for the future. I have good hope for the future. We'll give it a try. We could give it yeah. You must give it a chance. But yeah, but the main thing is this: you can always like things for with the Matrix. You can always fix a franchise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about the trial with Town is it shows that Matrix can be. It's like a repository of all knowledge and events, but it's
Yeah.
also not, or something of an unreliable narrator. Like it
Mhm.
can mistell a story, if you know what I mean. So, and we see that in
Yeah.
Mind Warp, and many people are
Yeah.
hoping that we revealed that Timeless Children was, the Matrix has been distorted. Hopefully by the maybe by the Valiant, maybe by the Master. We hope.
Yes, that's right. That's what I mean. You can use that for to repair these things.
Yeah.
Um, I think we will leave it for that for Mel, because the next story will be Time in Irani. That's Seventh Doctor,
Hmm.
and then we will discuss further Mel Bush,
Yep.
because Seventh Doctor also have Mel Bush, but after that Ace. So I think next time we do the Mel Bush further, and then also Ace.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
This is for now we leave it. Or you want to say something else about, or
No, I think we've covered it all. I think we've
yes,
gone through.
it's really good. So we have we talk a lot longer than I thought. 1 hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
So that's very good, very good.
yeah,
And so you can see there's much to talk about the companion. If you go through the stories, you have a lot of talk to talk about.
yeah,
We really discussed a really good way Perry
indeed.
and Mel now. So yeah, I think it's all everything is said about it. All the aspects of this companion.
Yeah, indeed.
So yeah, now I want to thank you, Sadeko, for this time.
Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun to do these. I loved doing them back in the day, and now it's great to do them again.
Yeah, so I think you will be there for the Seventh Doctor next time when possible.
Well, depends when you're up, but I'll try and
Well,
make it
yeah, okay.
because I know you haven't got to define. Well, I mean, I know you kind of you're a bit kind of you decide you kind of do them a bit more sporadic. You don't have really set dates for these, so I don't know.
No, maybe we can possibly we can make some appointment behind the scenes
That'd be good.
that you are available. That's what I want to say. They are available, so we can behind the scenes we can make an appointment when you are available.
All right, cool.
Was because I know that you have great fun in this sort of live streams, so we can arrange that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we will have yeah. I wanted to say this. Uh, yeah. Thank you for this time, Sadeko, and
no problem.
I hope everyone have lots of fun in this live stream. Also, again, I want to mention we have a playlist about the personality of the Doctor, and we have a playlist now for the companions. You can watch and listen that. And for now, I want to say cheers, mate, and lots of fun. This is Enigmatic Joker, and this is Sadeko. And have a nice weekend, maybe, and see you next time.
Hi, everyone.
I will say bye bye, everyone.
Bye.